you were talking about this great article about how your ego keeps you back from serving God and going through the different ways. You got through only 2 points, so
yeah,
there's
there's
a
6.
lot more.
Yeah, well, there's 6 in total, and I think it's important to talk about this because a lot of times we don't think we have it, and that's a lot of times because we do have it.
I'm so proud that I'm humble.
Well, my
Like
friend says it this way. He said, "I'm so proud of my humility," you know, and it's true. And sometimes we think more of ourselves than we ought, and we need to keep ourselves in check. And this is just a healthy way to kind of look and make sure that we're okay, because none of us want to impede what God is doing in our lives. I know you don't, and I sure know that I don't.
Letting God look at our hearts and show us those areas is such an important part of following Jesus, or else we stagnate and we never get over the things that are holding us back. So this is good. What's the 4th one?
Yeah,
we went through 3.
Well, before I get to that one, I want to say this. There are so many biblical characters that can teach us about the importance of keeping our egos in check. We have men and women in the Bible who were giants of the faith, who had reason to boast, but yet they said, "I will not boast in my own abilities. I will only boast in the fact that I am saved, that I know Christ." I think it's important. It doesn't matter. It's not saying, "Oh, I'm not good." You can be the biggest, the best, the brightest, all that. We all have a responsibility to keep our egos in check. And so one of the things they talk about is saying that when our ego is too high, we become reluctant to praise others and build others up. You ever met anybody like that?
Oh,
they seem to really, I don't know how to say it, but they seem to get off on putting everybody else around them down so they can feel higher about themselves.
Right, which is, in a weird way, it's insecurity really that causes people to do that. But it is your ego needing to be stroked and needing to be built up, right? Because you're insecure. So it's not a good thing. Definitely taking time to encourage people is so important.
Yeah, well, there's a neat quote here. It says that ego needs the spotlight and isn't afraid to manipulate people, even God, to attract attention. I thought that was a pretty heavy quote. Yeah, ouch is one way that we can go. Okay, here's another thing. It says that when you struggle with ego and you're operating out of that, ego romanticizes the past and idealizes the future, but rarely lives in the present.
Okay.
Have you heard of people who say, "Oh, I did something great and amazing 30 years ago, so I don't have to do anything amazing anymore"? Have you ever come across anybody like that?
For sure. Yeah.
You're not going to give me any names?
No.
Okay, good.
No, moving on. No.
Well, it says that the ego...
Nobody comes to mind.
What?
Nobody comes to mind.
Okay,
no.
good. It says the ego obsesses over the good old days, the way things used to be, and they kind of fixate on what was. And what that does is it takes our focus off of the future because we're so caught up in what we did in the past. And, Israel was guilty of that in the Old Testament. I think some characters, some people in the New Testament were guilty of that. And I think some of us are guilty of that.
I think sometimes when you get older, too, and you start thinking about your legacy, sometimes you can get caught up in wanting recognition for what you've done and, recognition that you didn't get that you feel you deserve without realizing that no matter what stage you are in your life, if you have 1 day left to live or 100 days left to live or 100 years, God has something for you to do today to change the world and make a difference. And I think we need to know that in every stage of our lives.
That'll preach, Cheryl. We're very good.
Thanks.
Okay, we only have a minute left here. If we don't get through all of these, we're going to post them up on our website and maybe on some social media as well. Another sign that our ego may be out of order or, lopsided, the ego seeks immediate gratification and despises anything hard or comfortable.
I thought that was just being human.
Ouch.
Right? I mean, as humans, we despise anything hard or uncomfortable. God asks us sometimes to die to ourselves, to die to our dreams. Like there's times in life, right, where we have to sort through the issues of our heart, and sometimes we don't want to do the hard work, right?
No, absolutely.
So that's pride is what you're saying, basically.
I mean, pride, ego, it gets in the way because we think, well, that's beneath me. I shouldn't have to do that. And it's like, no, come on. Even Jesus, who was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, he came and he said, the Son of Man has not come, to be served, but to serve. What an example he was for us. You talk about somebody who could have had an ego.
Yeah,
somebody
absolutely.
who's getting ready to be nailed to the cross, and instead of, calling down angels, instead of, doing whatever he could have done, he just says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And just a beautiful display of humility. And he took that humility all the way to the cross for us.